Hey guys, I'm back with another video. This time it should be a really interesting one for you. One of my favorite EAs or robots that's commercially available. This is about the Northeast Way robot or signal on MQL5. First, let me say that if you are able to subscribe, click the subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. If you can click like, I'd also appreciate that. That helps a lot. And tell your friends about the channel if it's of value to you. About trading, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not recommending that you trade. You can expect to lose all your money if you trade. It's very risky, extremely risky. There are tons of scams in the trading and the Forex world in particular. You should always have your antenna up. Don't believe everything you hear. Make anybody that shows you results, make them prove it, and not just show you some snapshot that looks good, but find out the whole story before you give anyone your money in the trading world, because it's ridiculous how little transparency there is in the trading world. It just is remarkable to me every day because of all the crap I see in the trading world. So it's a dangerous world, and you should only trade with money you can expect to lose. Okay, so what are we going to look at today? We are going to look at the Northeast Way EA. Let's look over here. By Pavel Udovichenko. Looks like he's Russian. And this is, I think, the #1 signal on MQL5. And what I mean by that is it has the most subscribers and the most money invested. That honor, dubious honor, used to be held by Bushmills, which I reviewed earlier, and I did not give it a very good rating, I don't think. I told you it was risky, and I think Bushmills has probably crashed and gone out of business by now. I haven't really checked lately, but I probably should do that. It was a little bit silly. So anyway, this guy's got 269 subscribers for this signal, 2.1 million US dollars riding on those accounts or invested on those accounts. We can see that the EA's had great returns. If we scroll down, we can see it's been trading since June of 2018. It was put on MQL5 when this gray line happened, so that was probably sometime around end of 2019 is when he added it to MQL5. We have to keep in mind anything to the left of that line can be manipulated, but based on my experience and observations with this EA and studying it, I tend to think nothing really is manipulated over here other than the ridiculous returns in the first few months. Those weren't exactly manipulated. It's just that there was not much money invested. You can see initially $512 was invested. The returns were very high. The risk was probably obscene at that time to get these returns, and you'll see that you won't see any other 3 months that had these kinds of combined returns as the first three. So any in 2018. So any numbers that I calculate for you in this video, I've thrown out these 3 months because I think they shouldn't apply to any sort of statistics that we use on this EA or on this signal. So we can see right now he's got equity of 31,000. He's got balance of 33.5. So he's in some drawdown. We can see that his max deposit load here is about 35 to 1. He's on a 1-to-100 leverage account. He's at 34%, so that's about 34.8%. That's about 35 to 1 leverage. His max drawdown was 47%. He's 99% algo trading, so he's running EAs. Trades per week 43, so he's pretty active, and his average hold time is about 2 days. What else can we see here? It looks like he's got a very smooth equity curve, so if you've been watching this channel for a while, you understand what that means. That means he's gridding. And so if you see that right away, congratulations, you've been paying attention. We can see here that he's had a few periods of drawdown while he's had the account running. So we can see basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he's in a 6th period of fairly major drawdown on the account. One nice thing is that his drawdown is not typically very long lasting. If we think of each increment on this grid as being about a month, more or less. These drawdowns have lasted maybe up to 2 weeks. I guess this one's closer to a month, maybe 3 weeks. But that's only one time in almost 3 years that the EA's been running. Most of his drawdown is very small and doesn't last that long. So let's go to the next tab here, trading history. We'll look at how he trades. He does trade in grids, as I mentioned. If we just look here, this looks like one grid on the euro pound. It looks like he started out with 0.05 lot size trades and built up a bigger position over time. You can see he started the grid on the 6th of April and then entered more positions or more trades on the 7th and then made more trades on the 9th, none on the 8th, when he finally closed the grid. You can see martingales pretty heavily. He started out at 0.05, went up to 0.12 for a couple of trades, then to 0.28, one trade, 0.31 trade, 0.71 trade. So that's a pretty heavy martingale, but it is a delayed martingale, meaning that he does not increase his lot size with every trade. He sort of staggers it every couple of trades or something like that. He'll increase his lot size. I don't know if that's exactly what he always does, but that's the pattern here. Another really interesting thing about this EA is that it closes the trades. It doesn't close the whole basket of trades that are part of the grid position at the same time. So here you can see he closed 3 trades at the same time, and then later closed the other 4 trades of the grid. And these are only separated by 19 minutes, but I've actually seen them farther apart. We can probably find an example of that if I look around here, but I don't really want to take the time to look around. But he doesn't always close the whole grid. Here's an example, I think. So we have a grid closing at 1322, 3 positions, and then more trades on that grid at 1500. So that's a few hours apart. He doesn't necessarily close the whole grid at once. He'll close parts of the grid. So the EA has got a fairly sophisticated pattern, both in terms of when it martingales and also how it closes the grid. It's not a full grid closure, which is, I think, nice. It's better than waiting for the whole grid to close, at least in my opinion. Take some profit. If we look at his statistics, I've already done the math for you here. You can see he's made about 65,000 pips and lost about 33,000 pips over 3,245 trades. Just doing this math, he's making about 10 pips per trade. So his expectancy is 10 pips, which is very good. If you can get an EA with an expectancy of over 3 pips, I would say you're doing pretty well. To get 10 pips is very good. The reason we want high expectancy is that the greatest foe that you face in trading is really not so much the market or yourself. The greatest foe you face is your broker, because your broker will hit you in 3 ways. They'll take your money in 3 ways. The first way is through swaps, and swap is a function of how big your position is and how long you hold it. So here he's holding trades for 2 days, which is not short, but it's not super long. So his swaps are probably fairly reasonable overall. The second way the broker charges you is commission. So that's based on how many lots you trade. You generally pay a commission per lot traded. And then the third way is spread, which is also a function of how many lots you're trading and what time of day you're placing your trades. So if you have low expectancy, below 3, it means that a lot of your profits are going to get eaten up by your broker. The broker tax, essentially, that you pay, the friction on your trades that the broker adds. If you have an expectancy, though, of 10 pips per trade, it means that you're keeping a lot of your profit instead of letting your broker take the profit. So we love to see a 10 pip expectancy. That's probably the best thing about this EA is the 10 pip expectancy. Other things here we've already seen. He's 2 days is how long he holds his trades. We can look at the currencies he's trading, mainly the New Zealand CAD, the Aussie CAD, and the Aussie New Zealand. So he's trading those 3, but he's trading these others a little bit. And in fact, on his trading history, we just looked at a euro pound grid. So he's trading the others some, but mainly these 3 are his big 3. And that's where he's made most of his money too. You can see most of the money's made on those 3. And most of his pips. Okay, we can look at a few, well, let's look at the risk. Here we can look at the risk. I would say the important thing to focus on here, guys, is not so much the drawdown. The important thing to focus on, although that's of course important, we look at it. The important thing to focus on is his deposit load, and he's on the 1 to 100 account. So you can see here, he's only been over 25 to 1 deposit load 3 times on this account, which is pretty good. I mean, to be below 35 to 1 deposit load consistently is is what we're looking for. I mean, that's what we want. Because the higher your deposit load is, really the more chance you have of blowing your account. If you get your deposit load at, let's say, 100 to 1, a small move in your currency pair that you're loaded on can crash your account. But if your deposit load is at, let's say, 35 to 1 or 25 to 1 or 20 to 1, a small move on the currency pair doesn't put you in any danger at all. You can sleep easy. So he's had a few times where the deposit load's gone above 25 to 1. 2 of them, it was just a brief spike and back down. One of them, he held it above 25 to 1 for a little longer. That's probably a trading week there back in September of 2020. But overall, very reasonable deposit load. Let's look at a few reviews. When you're looking at reviews on MQL5, generally speaking, of course not always, as everything I say and everything in trading is, there's not any absolute, but we can say generally, the higher somebody's score is here, probably the more they know what they're talking about. So if we just look at these, some 3-star recruits or reviews, 5-star reviews, and also some I'm just looking, some lower reviews, made me lose money, no logic, not worth it, unsubscribe. So some people didn't like it. I would be more likely to believe the good reviews on this EA based on my experience with it, studying it. I think it's a pretty good EA. So I would be more, a 3.5 stars here is, in my opinion, a little low. This EA deserves a better rating than that. So what else can we see? We'll look here. This is another signal he has called Fastway. It's very similar to the Northeast Way signal. The difference is that it's only trading 3 pairs. So if I go to statistics, it's only trading the big 3. It's not trading all those other currencies. And we can see the deposit load here. He's on a 1 to 200 account instead of a 1 to 100. So his deposit load has been up to about 72 to 1. You have to double it because it's a 1 to 200. That's probably because he's got that small initial deposit, and then on the first signal, Northeast Way, he added $5,000 deposit. Here he only added $750. So he's trading with fairly small capital, and thus is likely to have a higher deposit load. I won't go through all the metrics on this one. It's very similar. Trades for 2 days. It's been trading since December of 2018, so it's got a pretty long history. Makes a similar amount of money to the other EA, because really those 3 pairs is where the other EA made its money, and that's where this EA makes its money. I don't understand why it has such a low reliability rating. The other one has a better reliability rating. You also can buy these EAs. So here he's selling this one for $27.38, $2,700. He's got one of those crazy schemes where he increases the price. The more people that buy, the more the price goes up. I'm really not a fan of that. I honestly just don't like that. Don't pressure people to buy your robot. If it's good, they'll buy it. I don't really understand why the price keeps going up. That never made sense to me, and I don't like it. But I do like the EA overall. What do we have here? He also has it on MT5 at the same price. So you can read here. We can read here what it does. Northeast Way is a fully automated pullback trading system, so a bounce trading system, which is especially effective in trading on popular pullback pairs, and that's the 3 pairs we saw that are the big 3. The system uses the main patterns of the Forex market in trading, the return of the price after a sharp movement in any direction. So in other words, he's using some kind of an oscillator. And by the way, you can see here he's got other signals. He's also got other EAs, I think, that he sells. But this is really, to me, the best one. So he's using an oscillator for his entries. He's probably using some confluence of indicators to enter, and then he's managing the trade using his grid and his martingale techniques, waiting for the pair to go back in his direction. So that's generally how this is working and how a lot of grids work. A pretty effective trading strategy, I would say, especially on these pairs. What else can I show you? Okay, let's take a look at the scorecard. Or did we already? I don't think we looked at it yet. So the scorecard here, he does use grids. So I gave him a 4, but he does close parts of the grid rather than waiting for the whole basket to close at one time. That's why I didn't give him a lower score here. Normally, if it's just a full-out grid, I might give it a 1 or 2 here. But since he's got a little more sophisticated grid, I gave him a 4. Martingaling, he does martingale, but he sometimes delays his martingale, so I gave him a 5 here. Probably a generous score, but I like the EA. No stop loss used. That's how all grids are, really, or almost all. They're not going to have a stop loss. Average hold time, 2 days. Reasonable. I'd like to see shorter, but I gave it a 5. Monthly profit to drawdown is 1 to 2, which is good. If we look back at the EA, we can see that his monthly profit at about 15% a month or something like that, compared to his drawdown, is roughly a 1 to 2. So I gave him a good score there, an 8. Average drawdown is pretty low. I gave him an 8. His leverage is consistently pretty low. His drawdown doesn't hold for very long. And in the entire life of the EA for 3 years, almost 3 years, he's only had those 5 or 6 periods of drawdown. So I would say his drawdown's pretty good, although it can get high at specific times. So I gave him an 8. Overall opinion, I really like this EA. I gave it a 10. Overall score 174. I think that's the second or third best score we've had. So I gave him a very good score. Overall, I would say this is probably deserves to be the most subscribed EA on MQL5, at least that I've seen. I haven't seen every signal on MQL5. The most subscribed signal. This is the kind of signal that I think is worth using, and it's the kind of EA that I think is worth buying. Of course, the caveat there is how much are you trading. If you're a trader that has an account of $1,000, you should probably not spend $2,700 to buy this EA. But if you're a trader that's trading $20,000, then it might be worth spending $2,700 to buy this EA, because I think you'll make your money back. One other thing to say here is don't get greedy with this EA. This is a martingale EA. Martingale EAs and robots can blow your account. Do not get greedy. If you subscribe to the signal, I would not play it at the 95% level. I might play it a little lower, maybe 70% level. If you buy the EA or the robot and you put it on your account, I would turn down the suggested settings a little bit and be a little patient with it. Don't get greedy and try to make so much money at once, because if he goes into one of those big drawdown periods and your leverage increases a lot, it's going to be hard to sleep at night, and you really do honestly run the chance of blowing your account. And as expensive as this EA is, you should only be running it on a big account, like a $20 or $50 or $100,000 account. So don't get greedy and take a chance of blowing that account. Leave your risk low with this EA and be patient and make your money slowly. You'll make your money back. You don't need to do it all in 1 or 2 months. Take 3, 4, 5 months to make your money back, 6 months. And after that, it's just pure profit for you. So I would exercise caution with any martingale EA and any grid EA, because they can certainly blow your account, guys. But this is in my opinion, I'll give this a thumbs up. This is a good EA. It's worth your attention. It's worth my attention. This is probably one of the top 2 robots you can buy on MQL5 that I have seen. This along with Ranger, and is probably the best signal on MQL5 that I have seen. Might be the best EA on MQL5. I haven't really compared it to Ranger that closely, but I would say this is an excellent EA in my opinion. But keep in mind that risk, okay, guys? It can blow your account because it's martingale. Play it low. Okay, that's it. Hope this helps. I'd love to see your comments. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to look at. Thank you. Bye-bye.